This is a long movie, but you want to watch all of it. I've been waiting a lifetime to make a movie like this. Because you know what? The fish rots at the head.
Mr. King?
Second floor.
Yes.
Mr. King, nice to meet you, sir. Brad Jardis.
Brad, hey, how
nice
are
to
you?
Meet you, man. I love your website. I follow your work.
Thank you.
Pleasure to finally put a face to a name.
Indeed, this is going to be a rocking movie today. This one I just it's going to be real good.
I'm a fan of your work against Senator Ayotte.
Oh yeah, she's horrible.
Getting to understand more and more what happened.
The Attorney General has an apparent conflict of interest in some of these cases. Whenever citizens claim injury, it's the duty of that office to protect them. However, that same office has a duty to protect the agencies. So, who do they work for?
As a former Marine Corps officer who swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States, I never thought I'd be in the position to have to do that and fight for it against my own Attorney General and my own state agencies.
Redress of grievances in New Hampshire has already proved to be a lightning rod, a bellwether. Has already exposed systemic and institutional problems and will serve into the future to tell us, your representatives, how to make our government the best it can be for you. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to open the floor.
Just a quick question on the FRM Ponzi scam, the thing that went down. Given that that was a mortgage-related consumer fraud and it was the largest in New Hampshire in history, I'm just curious as to why you haven't investigated the fact that someone forced my name to a mortgage.
Well, with the Citizens United decision, obviously the foremost issue is our First Amendment under the Constitution, and that was the basis upon which the court issued a Citizens United decision, and I think we have to respect that. I don't think we should be trying to change the First Amendment to the Constitution, and money has been held by the court to be speech, and how you want to spend your money, how you want to invest it, what candidate you want to invest it in, and so I respect that, and I respect our First Amendment.
Is that right?
This is, pretty serious business. Sure. When Senator Ayotte was an AG in New Hampshire, while she was there, she happened to have the misfortune of presiding over the largest consumer fraud scam in New Hampshire history, and that involved mortgage-backed securities, and that's the FRM Ponzi scam.
Sadly, of course, Kelly Ayotte and her successor, Michael Delaney, didn't really care about the people of New Hampshire, and they're still suffering. Now, this video is going to examine briefly some of the economic realities of her tenure, as well as some of the social realities. Look at this track record, this criminal record of a mother who has custody over her children over the direct protestations of the father. Criminal activity. Why? We're going to examine that in closer detail now.
In this case, being duly impeached and sworn, find the defendant not guilty of offense charged.
I find it interesting that now all these pundits are coming out in favor of Kelly Ayotte and how great she is, and she's a rising star of the party. Well, how does she stand on the First Amendment? That's my question. Because in my ongoing lawsuit against her, I exposed things that make her want to threaten to arrest me. Now, as far as my background is concerned, I've actually won First Amendment trials, several of them. Kelly has not, and as we're going to see, she in fact lost the Planned Parenthood case that cost the state of New Hampshire $300,000. Meanwhile, she claimed to have won that case, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's move along to the economic issues now. So let's take a look first at the JUA Tuttle case. That was a $110 million gamble, lost. Then we have the curious case of the global warming litigation where the AGs in Massachusetts offered her a free ride. She declined, and of course that was a successful case. And her senior attorney told her to take the case. Then we move on to the Tax Masters issue. Dirty money. Tax Masters is being investigated and sued by the Texas Attorney General. But did that matter to Kelly? Of course not. She took the money because she's bought and sold. See, now we're coming into the First Amendment, and this is my bailiwick, and this is where Kelly Ayotte and her friend Mitt Romney cannot stand reporters like me who are diligent and tell the truth. And so, this is a little piece about my ongoing litigation with her that's going to the Court of Appeals because they like to, threaten to lock me out the same way that McCain did with Stephen Price. And McCain was with Ayotte when they did it to me. Now you turn to Romney, okay? He likes to dress up like a cop. Well, back in the day, a few years ago in New Hampshire, he had a fake cop with him, Jay Garrity, and they harassed the hell out of a New York Times reporter. Well, now let's continue on our First Amendment path, shall we? That's the $300,000 First Amendment loss to Planned Parenthood. This here is the remarkable case of the unconstitutional DNA testing. That was a mess, all right? You can't find that anywhere online except pretty much at my site. This here is another snafu DUI reporting. This is the modus operandi of Kelly Ayotte, never there for meetings, and they had to admit to me that they never had a 2006 annual report. Then, for the coup de grace, this will show you how they really feel about the First Amendment as well as right to know. When sued for the emails that Kelly Ayotte attempted to destroy, her henchman Jeff Craponi said that the whole thing was an election year stunt. So then you ask, how was she on crime and police abuse? Well, as a former law enforcement attorney, I'll tell you how she was. Horrible. This is the Paul Irwin Kish report we're reading now from the Michael Pahu shooting when the police shot this man and destroyed the van and relevant evidence and violated his Miranda. No one was punished by Ayotte for that. Furthermore, the same type of thing happened here in Franconia. A big cover-up as far as Liko Kenny, Greg Floyd, and Bruce McKay was concerned, the officer that was shot. They ignored evidence of the windshield bullet that indicated that Greg Floyd started shooting immediately at Liko Kenny. All of these things were out in the open and ignored. And she covered up for Greg Floyd. This is Floyd's track record. This is the man that shot Liko Kenny. Look how dangerous this man was. Yet she did not care and cleared him in 24 hours. Now we come to the police. Fred Hoysrat was drinking rum and cokes when he sexually assaulted reporter Elizabeth Dinan, whose name you saw earlier in this video. And what happened to Fred Hoysrat? Basically nothing, because he's a cop. Now we're coming into the family law portion of today's lesson. Michael Holman is going to be suing Kelly Ayotte and Chief John Pickering and several others in New Hampshire, as he should, because they have taken his children from him without any reason when he was in Washington State in 2006 and thrust them back into this dangerous environment with a mother who's addicted to heroin. There are drug raids at the house. There has been, criminal activity on her part, crashed vehicles, the whole 9 yards. But for some reason, they did this, and Kelly Ayotte had the power to stop it, but she didn't. Now, this movie commenced with a clip from the House Committee on Redress and Grievances conducting a hearing and a press conference relative to Kelly Ayotte's successor. Well, that body has been reviewing Mr. Holman's case, and they are proceeding with points of inquiry, and hopefully they will be able to extricate him from this situation, and more importantly, to extricate his children from danger. You see, speaking of danger, Mr. Holman reports that his attorney, Jennifer Haskell, told him that her career had been threatened for representing him. He alleges that she became complicit in his downfall. Furthermore, Chief John Pickering allegedly had him arrested wrongfully when he reported allegations of child abuse. And then to compound injury, Wendy Smith's sister worked for the court system in Meriden, Connecticut, where Mr. Holman is not even able to introduce any physical evidence when he tries to put his case forward. It's heinous, so keep watching. We have now reached the troubling case of Ralph Holder. Now, Mr. Holder is a former law enforcement officer who is currently a senior passport inspector with the Secretary of State. Do you know that the Attorney General's office approved the fact that the guardian ad litem in the courts took his child and put it into an inferior school in Massachusetts based on race, which is patently unconstitutional on the grounds of Palmer v. Sadati and Brown v. Board of Education. It's unbelievable. It's like backwater Mississippi or something. Then Judge Paul Barbadoro whitewashed the whole thing. You'd never know it even happened that way. Look at it. So the sad part is, the commonality between these men and with David Colton right here and many others is that they approached Attorney General Kelly Ayotte with these concerns, these valid concerns, and she was empowered to change things, but she didn't. Now the Telegraph notes that the GOP sees her as a future leader, okay? But people are catching on. As you can see by the commentary there, people know that she's a snake. And, when you get right down to it, the issue is who vetted Kelly Ayotte? The banks vetted Kelly Ayotte. Better believe it.
Say
say that if you want something investigated, then I think that you should. I'm no longer Attorney General.
I'm aware of that. I
think
came
that
to your office as a senator in Washington and here, and that your office staff told me you would contact me about the forgery.
On individual cases, it's usually the Attorney General of the state, but I'll certainly follow up and find out whether we need to connect you with another agency or if that's something that we have jurisdiction to look at. So thank you.
Well, as a senator, I think you could affect that. Yep. Thank you.
You're kidding me, right? Okay, look, folks, in the slideshows that you saw earlier, I was at Kelly Ayotte's office in Washington, D.C. I was at her office in Nashua, New Hampshire, and both times they promised to get on this. This has been going on for 8 years now. She refused to investigate this. She was the top dog in charge. The AG is the chief law enforcement officer in New Hampshire. I was an assistant AG in Ohio. I know how it works. And I know she wasn't doing her job. And now we think she's going to do her job in Washington? Please.